Hello, guys. Welcome to the Core Med. I'm Dr. Saurav, and here are you. Let's try to read and understand the ECG leads. Okay. First of all, why the ECG leads are so important? ये इतनी ज़रूरी क्यों है? The importance is that in actual sense, if I have to make a good analogy for this, leads are actually the camera of the heart. Okay. It's not like a CCTV camera, but yes, it is a CCTV camera for every electrical changes which is happening inside of the heart. Now you will be asking this question, ki sir, how is that even possible? Why we are so much obsessed about the fact that we have to read the electrical changes happening in certain part of the heart? My dear, the thing is that if you look at the heart, okay, I'm just drawing my handmade diagram for it. If you look at the size of the heart, okay, and the way it is oriented, the electrical changes happens at any particular part, okay, in a specified manner. But the thing is that if I am placing a camera which is lead in this reference of ECG, for example, if I'm placing a lead on the left side of the heart, let's call it a V6. I will be telling you what is exactly a V6 is. And if I place a lead on the right side of the heart, if I place a lead on the inferior side of the heart, for three of the leads, okay, the orientation of the same current or the different current will be completely a different thing. For example, for the current number 1, which is going towards the left side of the heart, my V6 will say that, oh my god, the current is actually coming. But for V1, it is going away. It will see that, my god, it's going away. And for AVF, it is not even a concern, because for this it is not going towards it and it is not even going away from it. तो V6 लीड के लिए करंट नंबर 1 के लिए कहानी ये हो जाती है कि उसको ये लगता है कि भाई साहब करंट जो एक है वो तो उसके पास आ गया है, लेकिन यही सेम करंट अगर मैं V1 के लिए देखूंगा, फॉर एग्जांपल मैं बाकी सबको मिटा देता हूँ अभी के लिए, V1 के लिए वो करंट जो है वो दूर जा रहा है, यहाँ से आप खुद देख सकते हो, V1 के लिए वो करंट जो है दूर जा रहा है, तो बेचारे को लगेगा कि भाई साहब इट्स नॉट इवन कमिंग अप. एंड फॉर द केस ऑफ AVF के साथ इशू क्या है? फॉर द केस ऑफ AVF इट इज़ नॉट इवन कमिंग और गोइंग. सिमिलरली एक और करंट को ड्रॉ करता हूँ मैं समझाने के लिए सिंपल तरीक़ों से. ओके, इफ़ यू सी दैट if a current is going towards the V1 on the right side of the heart, if I say, so for this current number 2, V1 will think that, oh my god, it is coming. But for the case of V6, this current number 2 is going away. Okay, and for AVF again the story is same. Okay, it is not going or not coming. That's why we need these cameras around the heart, so that we can see that if the one particular activity is happening, it is exactly coming towards which side of the heart. Is it coming towards the left side of the heart, or the right side, or the inferior side, or the anterior side, whatever it can be, doesn't matter. But important thing right now is why we were placing the leads. We were placing the leads because we want to study the changes happening in the different parts of heart. Okay, now let's try to see that how many leads are actually there. If you ask me, in standard and most of the time for the practical and clinical use, we used 12 leads. Okay, the 12 leads. What are these 12 leads? Don't be in rush. Let's finish and try to read them one by one. Okay, to read that, okay, we have to first place our cameras better. Okay, then you will get the idea why these leads were placed in this particular heart. First of all, let me show you something. We want to cover the heart from a different angles. But the issue is that if we want to cover the heart from a different angles, the problem also arises out that we might miss the other angle as well. That's why, my dear, in reality, the thing is that we are not just using the heart, or we are just not placing our cameras only in the one particular plane. We are focusing and putting the cameras on the different planes. For example, we want to cover the left side of the heart. We want to actually cover the left side of the heart. Okay, for that, we have to place our leads around it. We have to cover the anterior side of the heart. For example, might be the anterior side. Okay, for that, we need to place the leads here. We want to study the right side of the heart. So basically, the thing here is that we want to actually cover the axis of the heart in a way, okay, so that it covers every part. Therefore, my dear, the leads of the heart are actually placed on the two planes. One plane is the vertical plane. Okay, the one plane is exactly a vertical plane that will cover the top side of the heart, and other will cover the bottom side of the heart, and also they will cover the left and the right side of the heart. But the thing is that for the other aspects of that, okay, for other aspects of that, we have to see that there is also the other part of heart which is lying in this direction. This plane is called as the horizontal plane. So my dear, we have got two different planes right now. One is your vertical plane and second is your horizontal plane. The vertical plane will cover the top, bottom, left and the right. The horizontal plane will also cover the left and the right, but it will cover the anterior side of the heart, and also it will cover the posterior side of the heart, which will just lie at the back of it, just at the back of it. I hope you got some ideas about it, what I am trying to actually portray here. Okay, so let's go on towards the main part of ours. So thing is that if I try to look, we divide the planes of the heart in two different planes. One plane is exactly the vertical plane, another plane is horizontal plane. Okay, the vertical plane in short looks something like this, जो टॉप से बॉटम को पूरा कवर कर रहा है इस तरीके से, और जो हमारा हॉरिजॉन्टल प्लेन है वो कवर कर रहा है हमारे आगे से पीछे का एरिया, द एंटीरियर टू द पोस्टीरियर पार्ट ऑफ द हार्ट. Okay, now what are the leads that are actually placed here? Let's try to see them. For that, we need to actually place the leads on all the vertical planes. So for this vertical planes, let's try to place the leads. Okay, I'll be drawing the diagram of the heart in the red so that we can easily understand the position of the leads with a different color. Okay, so lead number 1, we will first use the leads which will be bipolar in nature. Okay, the bipolar leads are basically simplest one, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so where does the 1 is placed? 1 is exactly placed at the left side of the heart. Okay, let's take this reference as a 0 degree angle, so it will be a 0 degree. Okay, then the lead number 2 is placed 60 degree to the lead number 1 but downwards. Now remember this key fact, the majority mass of the heart is exactly at the left and the downward side. You can see that. That's why most of the angles which are drawn on the inferior side are actually positive, because major axis of the heart is downward and negative, right? So this lead number 2 is actually at a 60 degree to the lead number 1, and this is the lead number 2 here. At which angle it is? 60 degree. The question is, this 60 degree should be called as plus or a minus. Okay, ideally when we used to draw the diagrams in mathematics back in our school days, we used to think that it should be a negative one because it is going downwards, but for the heart, going downward is more positive. That's why it is plus 60 degree. Now, this is the lead number 2. The lead number 3 is actually 60 degree to the lead number 2. So if I compare it from the lead number 1, this whole angle will be 120 degree, but the question is plus or negative, plus or minus. The thing is, it will be minus because again it will be plus, it will be plus because it is going on towards the downward side of the heart, right? Because as we go downward, become positive only. This is lead number 3. Okay, so we have placed lead number 1, 2 and 3, which also gives us this one conclusion that the lead number 1, 2 and 3 are actually equilateral to each other, right? Forming a 60 degree angle. The second other leads in vertical plane, the bipolar leads, they are 3 in number. The other leads are actually unipolar in nature. Okay, and they are also 3. The question is, what are they? If you want to locate them, just look at this frame and try to find out which area is actually deficient. You will easily see that there is no lead placed to cover this area, no lead to cover this area also, and yes, some part is also missing out here. Okay, that's why we will place some leads over here, okay, which are actually called as, okay, I will be changing the color for it. These leads will be actually called as what? Augmented leads, AVL. They will be at 30 degree angulation. Now, since decision factor is negative or positive, it's very simple. Now, since they're going away from the normal axis of the heart, so these will be negative. This AVL will be minus 30 degree. This is for left side, left arm. That's why it's called AVL. Then there is a 90 degree. The angle would be from 90 degree from the lead number 1. This is augmented for foot. Okay. Now this is toward downward side of the heart. This will be 90 degree, but it will be positive. And the second lead would be, the last one in this will be AVR, which is representing the right side of the heart. This would be, again, if I draw just a line a bit in the elongation of the lead number 1, this is 30 degree angle, but from this it will be 150 degree angle. That's why it is 150 degree, but since again it is going opposite to the axis of the heart, that's why, my dear, it will be a negative 1. Okay. If you look closely in this area, let's try to see this thing. You will be able to see that lead number 1 and AVL are actually on the left side of the heart, isn't it? They're representing the left side of the heart. If you look at lead number 2, 3 and AVF, they're actually covering the inferior side of the heart. And if you try to look at the lead on the right side, that is AVR, it is actually covering the area that lies for the right side of the heart. Are you able to see that? That means in unipolar leads itself, we got some conclusions. That means if you want to read the changes which are happening on the left side of the heart, go and follow lead number AVL and 1. Okay. So for left, we have got 1 and AVL. For inferior side, we have got lead number 2, lead number 3 and lead number AVF. And for the right side, what we have got is basically your lead number AVR. So from the vertical planes, we have drawn this information. How many leads are there in total? There are 6 leads in total. Okay, out of which 3 were bipolar and the 3 were unipolar. Let's go ahead. There's one more plane remaining, and the plane is exactly called as horizontal plane. In horizontal plane, as I've told you before, it is covering the anterior and the posterior side of the heart, covering over this particular axis. Okay, so let's go back and try to read this thing. So if I go back toward this particular area a bit more clearly, okay, what I'm able to see is that I have to place some leads over the chest, because this is lying on the anterior surface of the heart also. Horizontal plane leads are exactly 6 leads. Those 6 leads are actually the chest leads that you usually see in movies and everywhere. Remember the fact, these chest leads are actually lying on precordium. That's why they are also called as precordial leads. And they have only one pole. That's why they're unipolar in nature. So there are how many unipolar leads in horizontal plane? All the leads are unipolar, and these are 6 in number. Okay, and above one, you recognize unipolar leads were these augmented leads. Okay, that's why, my dear, in ECG, 3 of augmented, 9 of chest leads. If I combine them, they form 9 unipolar leads in total. And if I combine plus add 3 bipolar leads in that, it becomes 12 lead ECG, of course. Okay, so this is not for significance for this plane right now. We are placing 6 leads, the 6 chest leads, that is V1, V2, V3, V4, V5 and V6. Let's try to see where they are actually placed and learn them for life. Okay, so I'm drawing a diagram right now. Let's try to see that thing. Okay, if this is the sternum, that's how we place a lead number 1, and that is a lead number 1 here. Lead number 2 is placed somewhere here. The question is, I'm just not drawing it for the sake of it. They have a specific positions. Okay, lead number 3, lead number 4, lead number 5 and lead number 6 lies on the axilla part, that is mid axillary line, that is V6. So it is 3, 4, 5 and 6. Question is, how do we actually remember it? Okay, it's very simple to remember. I will give you this mnemonic, and just not mnemonic, I'm giving you the way to learn it. Okay, so put them together, V1, V3, V4, V5 and V6. Here, remembering V1 and V2 is very simple. They have common plane, that is fourth intercostal space. They lie on the either side of sternum also, right? They lie on either side of sternum also. But the issue is only that V1 is on the right side of sternum and V2 is on the left side of sternum. So ये तो easily याद हो जाता है. So easily to remember that. So right now we have to remember V3, V4, V5 and V6. Okay, for V3 just keep it for a while. We will remember it later on. And also for V5 keep it just as like that. We have to remember mainly V4 and V5. V4 and V6, I'm sorry. Now how to remember V4? It's again very simple. Just add one intercostal space from above. Okay, it will be which intercostal space right now? Fifth intercostal space. Okay, but from top which line will drop? This top line which will be which line? This top line will be mid clavicular line. Okay, mid clavicular line. And just do what? Just copy the same information from top. Okay, fifth intercostal space. But here it will be, instead of clavicular, it will be axillary line. So it will be mid axillary line. So everything is same. Fifth intercostal space, the only thing is that it should be mid axillary line for the case of V6. Only thing remaining is V3 and V5. V3 is pretty simple. Anything between V2 and V4. The midpoint between V2 and V4 will be the placement for V3. But for V5, it's even more easy. Just follow the same rule what was following for V4 and V6. Here the thing is that it will follow the same intercostal space, fifth intercostal space. But the line would be axillary, but the line won't be mid-clavicular. It will be anterior axillary line. That's it. And that's how you remember the placements of all 6 leads. Okay. So the thing is that why we are placing this lead and how do they actually representing the heart. Okay, the heart will be somewhere, it must be somewhere in this range, right? Something like this, isn't it? So let's try to draw this diagram on the next slide and finalize this thing. What does the horizontal plane actually covers for us? I'm sorry, I have to change the pen. Horizontal plane. So if I draw the diagram of heart, okay, the leads will be placed something like this. I'll be using a different shade, that is brown one. So since they are covering the horizontal plane, so it will be lead number V1, V2, V3, V4, V5 and V6. Okay, here remember the fact that they are not supplying, they're representing. Okay, that is a mistake that I might have done previously by saying supplying. It's not supplying, it is representing the particular wall. Now for the case of here, they're always representing the things in pair actually. How does it pair they're representing? The first 2 leads, V1 and V2, are supplying the same area. V3 and V4 are supplying the same area. And V5 and V6 supplying the same area in pairs. Okay, what are these areas? Let me show you again. These areas are for the V1 and V2, the area is S. For V3, V4, the area is A. And for V5, V6, the area is L. What is a mnemonic? Mnemonic is very simple. What do you call ear in Hindi? In Hindi, the ear is called as Sal. If I write this thing in English, it is called as S-A-L, Sal. So S for septum, A for anterior wall and L for lateral wall, left lateral wall. That's why, my dear, V1 and V2 is representing the what? Septum. V3, V4 is representing what? Anterior wall. V5, V6 representing what? Left lateral wall. Okay, so now we have got a representation also from the anterior, that is the chest leads and the horizontal plane. So let's now combine every information together. Okay. From vertical planes, we got this information that the left area was supplied by lead number 1 in AVL, isn't it? And for the horizontal plane, this area was supplied by V5 and V6. So can we combine them together to form that the left lateral wall is supplied, not supplied again, it is represented by 1 AVL, V5 and V6. And similarly, the inferior area will be represented by lead number 2, 3, AVF in the vertical planes as we remember this. Do you remember this area as of now? This area, the 2, 3 AVF. Okay, then if we go back, this particular part that is right side of the heart was represented by the AVR. Okay, so this much of information what we actually got from what? That is from the vertical plane. For the horizontal plane, we got that this was represented by the left lead V5, V6. Then for the anterior wall, we had what? V3 and V4. This one, V3 and V4. The V3 and V4, right? And for the case of septum, we had V1 and V2, the beginning one, the Sal mnemonic, S for septum, V1, V2, then A, anterior wall, V3, V4. And left lateral wall was already being discussed previously. Now, if the question also arises out like that, that what is supplying the area of anterior and septum all together, just combine the leads for them. The anterior was supplied by, not supplied by, represented by V3, V4. The anterior septum will be V1 and V2. So, up from V1 to V4 simply means anteroseptal. Similarly, if somebody asks you anterolateral, then just V3, V4, V5, V6. Okay, so if I combine V3, V4, V5, V6, they are together they are representing the anterolateral area. Yes, if you are also including lateral, it is self-evident that 1 and AVL will be also together. But the thing is that if they are only focusing on the anterolateral, then the combined leads will be more on the horizontal side right now. Okay, so we focus on V3, V4, V5, V6. Yes, 1 and AVL can be the part, but it depends upon the conditions and it depends upon the kind of ECG that is coming. We cannot predict it like that. Okay, so that means for anteroseptal, V1 to V4, anterolateral, V3 to V6. Septum alone, as I told you, left lateral wall, V5, V6, 1 and AVL, inferior wall, 2, 3 AVF, and right side AVR. So this application you can easily use for the case of diagnosis of MI. Okay, if the primary thing for acute MI is ST segment elevation that happens, so you have to just see in which lead it is happening. If it is happening in a case of lead number 2, 3 AVF, okay, then you can easily say it's an inferior wall, right? If it was happening for the case of imagine V4, V5, V6, then you can easily say that V4 represents the anterior wall, V5 is lateral wall, that means it is an anterolateral wall MI. If it is V3, V4, V5, V6, 1 and AVL, again anterior wall, lateral wall. If they ask you the question like that the ST segment elevation was seen in the case of lead number 2 and lead number 3, it's simple, it is inferior wall. If the changes is happening in the case of V3 and V2, then it is V2 is for septum, V3 is for the anterior wall, that means must be anteroseptal wall MI. If it was happening for V4 and V5, then A4 is for anterior wall, V5 is for the lateral wall, it must be anterolateral wall MI. I think you got some idea about it. Okay, thanks a lot. Dr. Saurabh this side. I will be producing more videos and simplifying some of the concepts of the medicine, also concept for the NEET UG aspirants and for the nursing students as well. More such interactive videos will be coming up. Sorry for the interruption that might be coming from the surrounding areas because I'm using the not using the very premium microphone right now. It will be coming up in few days, right? Okay. So this interruption coming from around will be better. So they will better audio quality, of course. Sorry for that. Okay. And yes, the leads are representing part, not supplying part. There was a mistake from my side in that particular area. Rest of the things are being fine. Okay. Thanks a lot for everyone. You can subscribe to my channel. You can share this video and you can learn more. I'll be coming up with more such videos for interactive topics from the medicine as well as from the biology. Thanks a lot, everyone.